Hello, everybody. We're here today with Team Up for Hope, Inc. We're an all volunteer 501c3 nonprofit organization that seeks to address the impact of mental illness, substance use, and suicide in our local communities by raising funds and awareness for local nonprofit organizations at the forefront of these crises. Today, we have a very special guest that we will be speaking with. And at this time, I'd like to introduce our Team Up for Hope president, Mr. Wayne Patterson. Wayne, take it away.
Thank you very much, Amy. So today, once again, my name is Wayne Patterson, and I am the president of Team Up for Hope. It's a position I don't take lightly. I'm honored because mental health, addiction, and suicide are serious crises today, and I just hope that you listen, you learn, and you share. Today with us is Amy, who did the introduction. She's actually the co-founder of Team Up for Hope. And then we have Jane, who is our technical support behind the scenes. And we have a guest speaker today. We Team Up for Hope do webinars, which are videos with advocates of mental health, addiction, and suicide. And we also do podcasts, generally when the speaker wants to remain anonymous, and that's the case today. So they will be sharing their experiences, strength, and hope. And I look forward to hearing what they have to say. And the name we'll be using throughout this podcast today will be Marie. And that'll be how we'll be referring to our speaker throughout this podcast and session. So here we go. Welcome, Marie.
Hi, Wayne. How are you today?
I'm good. I'm really good. I look forward to hearing your experience, strength, and hope, and I'm just going to kind of dive in. Okay, how did you first come to be affected by the mental health illness or addiction?
Well, that goes back, I believe, generations in my family. I can tell you that I lost two grandparents to the disease of alcoholism, one before I was born and one shortly after I was born. That was my father's parents. I was raised with one of my parents. Found out in my teens that one of them was alcoholic, and shortly after that, I started drinking. Um, and there was a moment in time, definitely, where um, I went from being, as they say, a cucumber to a pickle. Definitely, there was an event that happened that was challenging to me and was just too much to handle emotionally. And I went from being, a weekend warrior with drinking and other substances by then, marijuana and other things, to becoming full time, 24/7. Um, and by the time I got into recovery, I was diagnosed a few years in with depression as well. So
Before you go any further,
Yes.
you mentioned your some loved ones. Did you witness them experiencing their own struggles?
unfortunately or fortunately, that I really can't qualify. No, I did not. As many generations past have done, things were generally kept in the closet and not talked about. I think a lot of us have experienced that, and I was not told those things, and I wasn't really paying attention when I was a little kid. So, but after one particular drinking experience that I had and a horrific hangover that followed, my parent chose to disclose to me, "Hey, there's this family disease we have," and that person hadn't been drinking for I'm going to say 5 or 6 years at that time. But I was not made aware of that until that time.
I'm glad he shared that, because it does kind of put things in perspective, right? Because it is a disease. Now, when did you realize that you needed to make a change?
Well, that was a journey, to be sure. I mean, I certainly did not want to identify with the alcoholic in my family of origin in my childhood. But by the time I was in my early 20s, I realized I had a drug problem, definitely, and that was okay. That didn't bother me so much. And I didn't really want a solution to that. I didn't want to change that. If you weren't doing the same things I was doing, I didn't really want to be around you very much. But I can pinpoint, and it took me a few years to really see this and understand the impact of this thought process. I remember driving to work one day. This is before the advent of Easy Pass. I was driving to work one day. I had been smoking something in my car, and then I had to light up a cigarette before I got to the toll booth, before the person took my ticket at the toll booth or my money. And I did that every morning. You know, insanity is doing the same thing over and over and we expect different results. But I would party the night before, wake up and think, oh, I'm not going to do that again. But I would. Within a half an hour, I'd be high or drunk or whatever. So I was driving to work this one day, and I was, getting high on the way to work. And I remember very clearly the moment where I was going over a bridge eastward and looking at this beautiful sunrise coming up and thinking to myself, this is how I'm going to die. And I just thought, okay, and I kept driving, and that was a very significant moment. At age, I'm going to say I was 24 at the time, um, just to realize that was going to be my life, and that's how I was going to end it.
So now, before you go any further, I have to say, God bless you, because 24, those are the wild and crazy times.
Yes, they were.
You had a revelation and some infinite light say enough is enough.
Not at that moment, to be honest. No, not at that moment. That was a realization I had, but I just kept going and doing my thing. I didn't care. I accepted that and moved on. I kept partying. I kept drinking. So yes, there was that revelation, but it didn't dawn on me for another year-ish. I had an ex-boyfriend who came to see me at work one day and pretty much gave me an ultimatum to get me to stop doing my thing, to doing the drugs and the drinking and stuff. And we argued quite a bit. I did what I thought was a manipulation in my favor and told him, if you get off my back and stay away from my family, I will stop. I will go to a meeting or I will go to therapy or whatever. And from the time of that argument to the time I actually went to a recovery based meeting, I guess I did have an aha something. I did have a moment where I thought, wow, I have an opportunity to change here. I don't think that was the conscious thought pattern I had at the time.
But I did stop.
I did have a few more drinks left in me after that. It took me another 5 months, 6 months to stop drinking as well and to realize I had a disease, also the disease of alcoholism. Because when I put that substance in my body, get out of my way, I'm going to get more, or get it for me, please. One or the other. Yeah, I mean, all bets were off.
Thank goodness for that that old boyfriend, because my next question was going to be, did you have someone who helped encourage you?
Oh, yes.
Taking back control of your life, and you had that moment with a boyfriend, and and when we're younger, boyfriends, girlfriends, they mean a lot, and their opinions mean a lot. I'm glad that kind of helped.
It did. And then my insurance company hooked me up with a therapist at that time too. And that person happened to be sober long term as well. And that person really had a very profound effect on my future as well, because this person started teaching me about my disease, teaching me about how destructive and how unmanageable we get, and the people, places, and things that can really destroy us.
And it sounded like you were functioning
Yes, I was.
during this time. And here's a little shift. How did your past struggles, which you were just sharing with us, shape you into the person you are today? Right? Because I'd like to hear something about that, because, at Team Up for Hope, our goal is to provide support to people who may be struggling with mental health and addiction. And I'm just curious on how your life relates to these same goals now that we have as a wellness organization.
Wonderful question. I believe that I was given so much unconditional help and support, especially in the beginning, a lot of wisdom and guidance, and physical, mental, spiritual support that I wanted to give back to, and I was reminded early on, well, you don't have to give it back directly to me, but pass it on to the next person. Keep that, be of service to other people in the world. And it did take me a good period of time to get involved in community service, but grateful to be a part of the service community within our little town, but yeah, I was given so much support and love, and people will love you until you can learn how to love yourself, because we definitely feel like unlovable creatures when we walk into any sort of recovery solution. And yeah, I was given an abundance, and there's nothing else for me to do unless I want to be completely selfish, and I don't, but to pay it forward.
Yeah.
And there have been times in my life when I have felt so helpless and hopeless. I can think of a few specific instances, where I have understood 150% what would cause somebody to do harm to oneself like that.
Yeah, we are our own worst enemies in all aspects of our life. It's just from simple things to things of harming ourselves, like you were doing. And I have realized too, over my lifetime, I get so much in my heart. I get my heart filled so much by helping others. And, the goal is to help them through whatever they may be going through. But the rewards I get are many times more than maybe what they're getting, or at least I think so, and it makes me feel good about servicing and helping. And I'm glad you came. I'm glad that helped you as well. Yeah. The experiences, and the reason I talked about the service that we do and I've done in my lifetime, because Team Up for Hope focuses on, bringing awareness, knowledge, and resources to organizations, as Amy had said earlier at the intro, to organizations that are on the front lines of folks that are sick and suffering, and that's our role in our community, and the webinars and podcasts that we do. Hopefully they reach out to the world and touch somebody and provide some insight into their own lives. And so moving on with my questions. Now, what is the most important lesson you learned from your experiences with dealing with this addiction?
Most important lesson I've learned?
Yeah, probably the most important lesson you learned from your experience with dealing, if you could go back in time, do you have any advice you give to your past, to the past you?
Don't pick up the first drink. No, Only a little joking on that one. But I think the most important thing that I have learned is that there is always hope. There is always a solution. You know, I problems are, they seem big when we're in them in the moment, and they seem overwhelming, and they seem sometimes like they're endless. But the fact of the matter is that there are situations that we go through in this life that are not permanent and that we can move forward from. I believe um, I've seen many people behave that way in the world, and follow through with that and stay here. And I've unfortunately seen people who have not. I think we all have here, and it's tragic and it's heartbreaking. It's just not a pretty thing to see or experience at all. It's just overwhelming. But I understand that everything that we go through is not worth um, picking up a drink or taking a drug or harming myself in any way at this point in time. It's just not worth it. There is another way to live. There is another way to be in the world, and that takes work sometimes. That takes motion and action, you know. And I'm grateful to have had the opportunity to still be here, one day at a time.
Yeah. There, as you were speaking, I'm I'm taking it all in, and I'm thinking that, wow, tough day at work. I'm going to go home and have a cocktail or smoke a spliff. I had a death in the family, so I'm going to go home and have multiple cocktails, and and even the Friday nights, a long week. Let's all meet. Let's go out for drinks, and something to eat. But the drinks, we're going to get a bunch of those. It was a tough week. And you even, you see it in the media, people in the media, I mean, in TV and Hollywood, everybody comes home and they're having a cocktail, during work, after work. So I guess my question is how, and we relate the drinking and the drugs and, to fun. The only way we can have fun is if we're drinking or taking a pill. Smoking and, marijuana now is, legal here. And so, or smoking a spliff, right? That's fun. So I guess I want to ask you, is there fun after alcohol? Is there fun after, not taking any drugs or?
Absolutely, 150,000% there is. Absolutely. Um, the funny thing is that one substance you mentioned is legalized now, and that was my favorite thing for a very long time, and it's something that eventually made me fearful and paranoid and just crazy after a while, and I'm so grateful I don't have to do that today. But yes, there is relief in realizing that I don't have to do those things today. I've made a conscious choice to just take better care of myself and my body and my spirit and my heart, and I get to laugh and joke around with people and just have a good time and go hiking and go to the movies or go hang out with friends, and people can be drinking around me and I don't care, you know. But yes, there is fun. There is a lot of fun. We laugh at, I've seen somewhere in a piece of literature somewhere that we laugh at some of the experiences we've had over time, and I'm one of those people that's been around a little bit that, yeah, I can certainly laugh about my own experiences in the past. Not all of them. Some of them are still pretty heavy. This is a beautiful life. I don't want to be stuck in, depression or anxiety today. I don't, I have tools to use, so I don't have to stay stuck there, you know?
Yeah, good for you, and good, and good for your loved ones, good for your family, good for those that really care about you. um I what does your life look like now? So you've had the struggles, you've come to realizations that it's, you know, that it wasn't good for you, it wasn't the right journey, right path, it wasn't good for your health, it wasn't good for your well-being, it just wasn't good. So what has happened since? Are you living a normal life now?
Absolutely, yes, I am definitely. I'd like to think so. I mean, and yes. I mean, I'm married. I have two children. Um, we own a home. We're here in this beautiful little town, and yeah, life is pretty normal. I'm a mother, a wife, an employee, and a peaceful human being today. I mean, situations happen that are challenging that can make us all a little crazy once in a while, but life is just peaceful. Life is good. I don't have all the material things that I thought I needed, but I do have everything I ever wanted. That's for sure. Truly, my life is very, very full of good people and good blessings and no drama and no BS, and life is good.
It
Really?
sounds wonderful.
Yeah.
It's safe for me to say um, that if you continued on the journey that you were on when you were 24, the life you have today would probably not be the same.
I can't project where I would be today, and I thought about that over the years. I could be institutionalized. I could be on the streets. I could be dead very easily. You know, but no, I was given a second chance, and I don't take it for granted. I don't.
I'm glad. Can you share what it's like living in today, in the with a easier, less complicated, more peaceful life? Because and I guess I'll kind of clarify. I know with me growing up, I went out and I would drink with buddies after work and wake up the next day with a hangover, as you shared as well. And
Right.
and then you would not do it until the next night. I worked in New York City, and that was what we did after work. And my head was always cloudy, even when throughout the day, and so I guess, how does it feel now to not have, I don't know if you had a cloudy head like me, but the waking up with a hangover is like a cloudy head and not fun. How
Mhm.
is it now not experiencing that anymore?
I definitely had a cloudy head all the time. I would wake up and get high. I would middle of the day, end of the day, any time of day. Um, back in the day, and definitely cloudy, definitely foggy. But I thought I had all my stuff together. I thought I was a good employee. I thought I was driving well, which we all know that doesn't work out so good. I thought I was a decent human being. Um, and yes, I am, and I was, but I was sick. This is a disease, and it's got many components to it. I'm not a doctor or a psychiatrist or a psychologist, social worker. I'm not just an alcoholic and a drug addict. But the fact of the matter is that today, after doing the work of recovery um, and being in that lifestyle, is how is it? It is physically, mentally, spiritually unbelievable.
Well, it's because you're living it.
Yeah.
It's your life now,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
interesting, as I'm listening to you, you were pretty much put an end to the substances that you were putting in your body that were making you cloudy and and having a hangover. And that was around 25. Now I'm gathering you're much older than 24, 25, 26, but yet you still refer to yourself just now as a alcoholic and an addict. Explain that.
I always will be. As I said earlier in this podcast, I went from being a cucumber to being a pickle. Pickle can't turn back into a cucumber. I've always got this disease, and I didn't mean to make it sound like I went from one thing right to another. From active alcoholism and drug addiction right to wow, life is beautiful. There was a lot of work in there as well. there's a lot of work that I needed to do, called the inside job, I guess, to unload a lot of stuff, unload, uh, you know, get rid of the alcoholic behaviors that I had, and amend my behavior and make amends to many people in my life, in order to slowly evolve into the person that I am today and that I'm still becoming, but I'm always going to be an alcoholic and an addict. That's okay. I accept that today. I accept that as part of my humanness.
How is the relationship with you had mentioned, I think, was it Dad that mentioned to you that your grandparents had drinking problems?
Yes.
Was he aware of your drinking problems?
No, I didn't make my family aware of that for a very long time. I didn't. I chose to hide that from my family. God forbid they try to get me help.
Right. Yeah, God forbid they try to. It's because they only love you and want the best for you, but you're silly,
When it was time for me to get help, I let them know, hey, this is what I'm doing to get better.
And I'm glad that you have made it, one day at a time, but have made it to a point where you can, because I hear husband, I hear children, I hear home, I hear, and that's not generally something that someone's capable of doing if they're a alcoholic and a drug addict, So bravo to you.
Quickly though, that there are people in the world who function, as you said before, who are functional in their disease, who are, not very bottom drunks, but are people who are functional in the world with that particular disease. Doesn't mean they're present for their families. Doesn't mean they're present for life, but there are, there's so many different, this is a disease that doesn't discriminate by socioeconomic status, color, creed, age, sex, gender, gender identification,
Right. And I didn't clarify either. A husband, you had children, and you have a home, and you have a car. I hope you have a happy husband and a happy house and a happy car. And I was just thinking that was the case because you and to have started being sober from drugs and alcohol for at a young age until now is I kind of want to say uncommon, but I don't know the statistics to even make that statement. But when we're younger, we think we're wise, we think we're smart, but we're knuckleheads, especially in our 20s, and we start to get some sense of responsibility and discipline in our 30s and 40s, and also it depends on our family, so I'm kind of getting to territory that I really don't want to get into now, but not drinking is cool because there are 50s and 60s and 70-year-olds of us that still think it's cool. Tell us how you intend, or what you intend to do with the rest of your lives in terms of mental health and addiction. Any goals or that, plans that relate to the future?
I can tell you that I enjoy being part of the local community service groups in the area, and hope that I can continue to actively participate in events and functions that could potentially help people. If we even just help one person, if we help 50 people, that's huge. But and to continue my recovery journey as well, so that perhaps I can help the next sick and suffering person, just with my own personal experiences. That's the only way I know how to give back. It's be a decent human being and continue to be a good mom and wife and employee, and continue to live my life to the best of my ability. Continue doing the next right thing on a daily basis. continue the spiritual life that I have and the, uh, tools that I use to keep my mental health, and seek help on occasion, seek outside help when I need it. There's times I need to go to a therapist for a checkup, or if there's situations that arise that kick up anything that needs to be looked at yet again in my life, then I go get a checkup. I go see that therapist. There have been times in my life that I've been on medication for depression. I don't need it at this moment, but I'm open to it if I need it again. Understand that there are tools and solutions and uh, ways to live this life on a daily basis that maybe I can help another human being. Maybe. I hope so.
Yeah, you touched so many areas, a couple of sentences, the whole stigma too behind addiction, the stigma behind therapy, the stigma behind feeling depressed or not feeling like you want to get out of bed today. And I'm up there in age a little bit, and I'm part of the baby boomers. It was always a sign of weakness to extra help, therapy, and I'm so happy today because of my role here with Team Up for Hope with providing awareness and resources and direction to get help, to get therapy, medication if necessary, and surround yourself by positive, upperly mobile individuals that are upperly mobile in their wellness, in their compassion, in their kindness. Nothing to do with money, nothing to do with trips to the Caribbean or cars. It's free what we want to offer through Team Up for Hope. And yet you talk 2 sentences, you covered it all, and it's right in line with not even what Team Up for Hope is doing, but so many organizations throughout this country are jumping on the bandwagon for mental health and for diversity, equity, and inclusion, and reducing and erasing stigmas that have been around for generations. And I'm happy to hear that you're following that path. And there's nothing better to do than, of course, put the oxygen mask on you or on us, and then be able to service others with the oxygen and the life that it's given us. So, bravo. Um, the there is one. I could go on for hours, but I do want to, because life, every single day, life, you got to deal with people and situations, and everything doesn't always go in our favor. And you did mention that once an addict, always an addict. Once an alcoholic, always an alcoholic. Are there situations or time in your life that you want to just say, go get me that marijuana, man. It's legal now anyway, or go get a drink, but I'll just have one, and
I'm not gonna lie, there have been thoughts over the years like, oh, that drink, I never had that one. I'd like to try that, whatever it is. I've had that thought periodically, and then the next thought is, oh, I know exactly who and what I am. That's not a good idea. Let's not do that. Because you have this mental obsession about picking it up, followed by a physical compulsion, which kicks in the disease, and I don't want to go there. I know what my life experience is. I know who and what I am today. So yeah, it has crossed my mind. I'm not going to lie, but I don't follow through on that. Thoughts and actions are two different things, And I'm going to say about a year ago, over a year ago now, a friend and I sat down for a meal, very close friend of mine. And this person, about an hour into our meal, chose to share with me that she had picked up drugs. She had picked up marijuana. the anguish and this is someone who was sober for a period of time, and the anguish and the pain in this person, the remorse, the guilt, it shook me quite a bit. It made me realize yet again who and what I am and where I don't need to be today and what I don't need to put into my system today, into my body, and to stay here in this life of, in this journey of recovery, because this is where I belong today. Just today. I don't want to do that. I do have that husband and the children and the home and the good job and and the sweet dog and and really good friends that I really care about today. And I don't want to throw any of that away. And that's always in the forefront of my mind.
Yeah.
And remembering what that disease felt like, um, what that last drink, what it felt like to put that in my body stays with me because I understand, it just felt horrible, horrible, horrible.
Yes. No, I mean, it seems like you took that drink just yesterday, and so it's pretty vivid and clear in your head. And I guess that's something that will always have to be remembered if you're an addict or an alcoholic. You always have to remember that horrible, horrible feeling and person that you had become. Right. And yes, so plugging in to your service just takes you to a new level of people, responsibilities. You have a family, and I have a question about the family in a minute. You have children, the children, the husband, and I'm so excited for you. But a good friend of mine said recently, I was somewhere and they said that, it's one day at a time. Have to focus on not drinking and drugging today. You can drink and drug tomorrow. You just can't drink and drug today.
Yes.
Right. And then when tomorrow comes, tomorrow becomes today, and you just can't drink and drug today. I loved it because, right, it's just a cycle of wellness, and it's great. Now, to your family, are they aware of your past?
Yes, they are. Yes.
You chose to
Definitely.
share that with them.
I chose to keep things out of the closet and upfront and honest and open. Definitely. Yes.
Yeah, because I guess at some point, as the children get older and, their friends start drinking, and then they're going out there and they say, well, I never see any alcohol in the house. I don't, what's up with that, Mom? Like what's that? So I guess you did put it out there for them to know why.
Definitely. Yeah. I prefer my children to have full knowledge of their, and you know what, it's nature or nurture. Who knows if it's genetic or if it's environmental. For some people it is or not. But I'd rather keep them very aware because there have been enough people on actually either side of my family with the disease that they should be aware of where they come from. Definitely.
Yeah. Yeah. And plus, you being having that lifestyle in your past, you know what to look for too. Our youth, there are so many external factors. There's the peer pressure. They get a girlfriend they like very much, but she likes to smoke marijuana, or a boyfriend that they like, a boy they like, and their boyfriend smacks more, or they're drinking and you want to be in with them because you want, peer pressure and all of the hormones that are going on at as they're developing and growing. It's kind of scary, and especially with the drugs, fentanyl more particular, that is killing people, and I'm having this conversation with you and I'm at ease as I say it because I have adult children. Doesn't mean that they don't indulge, but they've shown signs of responsibility. They're self-sufficient in their own lives, and they've passed the puberty, they've passed the the college. They've had, their one is married, and then I have a grandchild with the other. So they're handling their business and their lives and the pressures that come along with it, and hopefully they're not indulging. But having the experience that you have, you would see, there will be signs in your babies.
I hope so. I mean, I hid my disease well enough from my family, but I hope I have a bit more awareness now to see that sort of thing in my own kids. Yeah. But I also know that they have a healthy fear of drinking and drugs because they understand where they come from. They understand the disease to a small degree.
Because it's important. I think it is important for them to know, and that and that they can't pull the wool over your eyes. I want to thank you so much for taking out the time to teach us about yourself, and it'll help us through this podcast spread awareness of the life of an addict and a alcoholic. And I hope that it adds insight and helps people through their experiences, strength and hope as they're going forward battling the disease of alcoholism and drug addiction. So thank you, Marie, very, very much. A couple more questions, and then you weren't getting off that easy. Are there any organizations or charities that you would like a donation to go to, that's in line with your way of service and wellness, that you would like to contribute to? We're gonna end. You don't have to answer, but I wanted you thinking
Right.
about it, because this is
Okay.
what we do. We share a message, we bring awareness, and then those that we have on our webinars and our podcasts, we'd like to donate to the organizations of choice of those that have time with us, with those organizations' missions and goals too. And if there are none off the top of your head, or if there is something, you could spit it out. And if there is nothing, we could share it for another time.
I can think of a few. I mean,
No, I said one.
Well, I
I can certainly mention another local organization that has been very helpful in the community, and that would be Warwick Carers. They have done so much about, making greater awareness of the National Crisis Hotline 988, spreading a message of hope in our community. If that were to be the one for me to choose, yes, that's it right there. I mean, Judy Batista and her volunteers and her group have done many positive actions in the community.
And are there any others? Because I was joking about just the one.
I hold near and dear to heart the Michael J. Fox Foundation. Having had a grandparent, my grandfather suffered with Parkinson's at the end of his life, and that certainly caused him to have depression as well. That was situational for him, but yeah, Michael J. Fox Foundation.
Do you have any questions for myself or Amy? Or Amy, do you have any questions for Marie before we say goodbye?
I would just like to say thank you so much, Marie, for sharing. And it's always just enlightening to hear people's experiences. And thank you for sharing.
I'm so grateful we could do this today. Thank you so much for having me, Amy.
Yes. And Marie, any questions for us about what we do, how we do it, or anything?
I'm a little bit familiar with the organization, and I'm grateful for the service that you do in our community. I don't think I have any questions, though.
Great. Once again, Marie, thank you very much for your time and your share and your story. I appreciate it very, very much.
Thank you for having me.
And Amy, thank you for being here like always. Yes. And Jane in the background, She's our silent partner in this effort, but everything happens, and you'll be hearing this and seeing future webinars and future podcasts, and it's all because of Jane and what she does with us on the technical side. Marie, peace and love. Enjoy that husband, that family, the house, the car. Much love and light to you and yours. Peace and love.
Thank you. Same to you. Thank you so much.